I'm Ben Salisbury. Thank you so much for having me here today. I'm very excited. If you're in this room right now, I'm guessing that you need to sell more cider. Is that right? Yes? Well, then you're in the right place. I know it's really hard to walk past the queue of people. There's a waiting list to get into the cider tasting across the way. I know it's hard to walk past that and come in here and listen to such a boring topic about sales, but I will do my best to make sure it's not boring. And I'll make you this promise right off the bat. If you don't leave here today with 2 or 3 things that you can start doing right away to grow your cider sales, and I have failed you miserably, and I never fail. So I'm really excited to deliver that. We also have plenty of time, so rather than save questions to the end, I really like it if there's some interaction. So if you've got a burning question, just ask, and we'll pause and address it. And for the benefit of the audience, if other people can't hear the question was asked, I'll repeat it. And if some of you are just too shy to ask questions, you can use the app. You can ask questions. Just go to the agenda, click on today's session, and click on chat. And I will periodically check those too. And I'll certainly check them before I leave today. Okay, so with that, we're going to talk about how to sell. I realize it's not the most exciting, engaging part of being in the cider industry. I get that. I've been selling adult beverages for more than 40 years, and I know very well that it's not the sexiest part, but I happen to be good at it. I like doing it, and so here I am. But I deal with lots of different startups, founders, small family wineries, distilleries, breweries, meaderies, cideries. Where's James from Hell Branch? Is he here? He's one of my clients is here. Or someone from his team? That's okay. Oh, hey, Julie. So I know a thing or two about selling adult beverages, and I'm going to drop all the wisdom I can on you today. Now, you might say, well, what's the gray-haired old guy who's been doing it for 40 years? What the heck does he know about selling in 2025? Well, the good news is I've really kept up with it over the years. In fact, I'm kind of a tech guy stuck in a salesperson's body. I love tech. I love tech-enabled sales, so we'll be talking about some of that, too. Let me get my notes together here. So if what you want is more revenue, you're in the right place. Because as fun and as sexy as it is to produce product, and to put all your passion and energy into producing the product, if nobody buys it, then you have what's called a hobby. And I'm stealing that line from Julie. Her whole company is called Not Your Hobby Marketing. Might be the most perfectly named agency. But this is really serious. And so I'm guessing by your presence you need to sell. Well, I'm going to help you do just that. And you know, selling is not something you just do occasionally or seasonally. In fact, you need to be doing it on a daily basis, and you need to never let your foot off the gas, because the minute you do, the minute you coast, you can lose market share, competitors will come in. So without further ado, let's dive into, whoop, that's not a good way to start. There we go. So I'm going to talk about what has changed, because a lot has changed. I don't know how long you've been in the business, but if you haven't been paying attention to what's happened in the last 6 or 7 years, this will be a good wake-up call. I'm going to share 3 really killer strategies with you today and 3 traps to avoid. And rather than wait to the end to do Q&A, I'm happy to take any questions you have as we go. So as I said, for a lot of producers, selling and marketing isn't their favorite thing. But you need to make it your favorite thing, because it's just getting more competitive all the time. Let's talk about what. Okay. Hopefully that won't be going on through the whole thing. So some of the things that have changed, the big change is competition. What's that? Yeah, could be. By the way, I took that photo with my iPhone. I was sitting at my desk at home back when I had a home office, and there were some people in the attic working on my heating and air conditioning, and he came through the floor. So I had the presence of, like all good sales and marketing people, I had the presence of mind to take a photo. I'm like, that's going to be useful one day. Anyway, so what has changed is so much more competition. Now, if you've been around as long as I have, you've seen, you'd really be able to look at the change, you know, in a wider context. When I started selling adult beverages in 1984, there were almost an equal number of distributors and brands in the U.S. It was really easy to partner with distributors and get things done. Well, there are many, many more adult beverage brands across all categories, and they're growing all the time. So that's one of the biggest changes, just sheer number of competition. Where's Mo? Oh, we don't need Mo. We have the new CEO who can. We just need to find somebody what's going on with that. That's okay. Knocking me off my game. Distributors today are overwhelmed. If you're in the three-tier world, you've got challenges there. We're going to talk about that. You've got the neo-prohibitionist movement. I don't know what you call it, but that's what I call it. It's really a very dangerous thing. It has a lot of momentum behind it, makes things harder. The cost of everything is so much more expensive. So all of these changes combine to state the fact that your sales and marketing game has got to be on point. It absolutely has to be on point, or you're gonna lose ground. Throughout the talk, I'm going to be talking about some things that maybe for the first time you're hearing it put this way, or maybe even never even really considered that aspect of selling. I guarantee you're going to bump into that today, and if it makes you uncomfortable, that's a good thing, because one of the things I want to do today is shake you out of a comfort zone if you're in that at all. A lot of what I'm going to talk about is going to be it's going to be met with resistance in your own mind, and you'll see it when we get there, so fair warning. So one of the first things I want to say is, if you make great cider, I mean amazing cider, and you have it in a great package, and you've come up with a clever name and branding, I have news for you. Welcome to the starting line. That's table stakes. A good product in a good package at a great price is table stakes. It's not enough. Now, I talk to founders all the time, and I run into this a lot. I can see where they put their energy and their time and their passion and their focus, and it is to producing the best product they possibly can, and they should do that. But the headline is, that's not enough. It's not enough. It's very important. If you want to have a going concern instead of just a hobby, you're going to have to allocate time, people, resources, and attention to your sales and marketing. Now, here's where it gets real tricky. Most of the information and advice for our industry is crap. It's from a bygone era when things used to be a different way. And I don't know if any of you noticed, but when you decided to start your cidery, all kinds of well-meaning friends and relatives had advice for you, right? Don't take advice from people who have never run a successful adult beverage business, because they don't know what they're talking about. So this is one of those things that has really changed. You've got to recognize that it's just not enough. You've got to allocate time to the sales and marketing, and you're going to hear me repeat that quite a bit. My old boss used to say, you can't eat like a bird and shit like an elephant. And what he meant was, you cannot reach your revenue goals if you're doing nothing or little to nothing from a sales or marketing standpoint. Everybody loves revenue. Revenue covers a multitude of sins, but you're not going to get there just by thinking about it occasionally or delegating to a family member. Nothing wrong with that, but you've got to take this more seriously. And here's a couple of numbers for you. From a budgeting standpoint, you should be budgeting at least, at a minimum of 10% of whatever projected revenue goal you have. So if you have a goal to sell $2 million a year in cider, you need 10% of that allocated to marketing. That's just really getting started. If you want aggressive growth, it really needs to be more like 14 or 15%. And as far as your time and attention goes, if you're not devoting at least 25 to 30% of your time on your sales or marketing game, it's not going to go well for you, because the competition is just getting more and more stiff. So I hope that's a message that is getting hammered home for you. So let's get right into the top 3 strategies, and I've got 3. Now, I'm going to cross back and forth between direct-to-consumer and the 3-tier world. Most of my experience is in the 3-tier world. I have a very keen understanding of how hard it is to grow a brand in the restaurant and retail space. I'm happy to answer any questions you have about that, but I'm going to be flipping back and forth between direct-to-consumer and 3-tier. And I'm going to blow up, this is a picture of this car on fire, I'm going to blow up a lot of the conventional thinking about sales and marketing. Like here, for example, I'm done doing the raise your hand thing, because most people don't raise their hand. So raise your hand in your mind. If you think that sales is about persuasion, anybody think sales is about persuasion? I got news for you, it is not. It's not even about the product. Selling is about a relationship building, and building relationships at scale. So we're going to blow up a lot of things like that as we move along. Now, I was so happy to hear this mentioned in the general session this morning, if you build it, they will come. Actually, the quote is, if you build it, he will come. I'm kind of a stickler for those kind of details. But anyway, a lot of people think, I'm going to buy this orchard, I'm going to make this cidery, I'm going to make the very best cider I can. And, that's a very exciting time. But just because you have it does not mean anyone's coming. I look at this on a website as the classic example of this. I'm sure most of you have a website, right? Now, I look at hundreds of websites a month. I subscribe to every email that I can because I want to see what's going on. Most of the websites are built on something like GoDaddy or Squarespace or some kind of do-it-yourself like Wix. And people are thinking, well, I've got a website. I'm up on the internet. But they never bother to stop and look, is anybody visiting? How much organic traffic are they getting? So the idea that if you build it, they'll come is just completely false. You've got a lot more work to do than that. Now, I'm going to really dive into email later because if you take nothing else away from my talk today, it's this. Email marketing should be your #1 strategy for making sales, whether it's direct to consumer or 3-tier. And we're going to put a pin in that and come back to it because I'm going to go deep into email marketing. And that'll be another thing that we blow up. So let's dive into the audience first. You need a large audience. You need two, actually. You need a large audience of consumers, and you need a large audience of trade buyers, both on and off premise. If you're not sure how to do that, you're going to be really happy you showed up here today because we're going to talk about that. You need to be able to control your own destiny. Anybody heard the term first-party data as it relates to having an audience? First-party data is data you own that cannot be taken away. Remember when TikTok was shut down for the weekend a few weeks ago and everybody was in a panic? If your whole audience is on TikTok, you're in serious trouble. If you're building a large audience on social media, that's great, but you do not own that audience, and it could go away tomorrow. Your account could be suspended. The algorithm could change. You've got to have an audience that you can interact with directly. This is about controlling your own destiny. There's not a lot of things you can control. You can't control the weather. You can't really control what distributors are doing. You can't always control the fickle consumer. But there are things that you can control, and this needs to be one of them. You need to know how large your audience is, how engaged are they, and how to grow it continually. Should never stop growing your audience. You need to know how to do those things. So first-party data cannot be taken away, and it's yours to own. They're on your email list until they unsubscribe. Audience building starts with your website. Again, I'm not going to ask for a show of hands, but I'll bet there's a large number of you in the room who have no idea how much organic website traffic you're getting on a monthly basis, let alone where that traffic is coming from. You must know these things, and you must know how that audience is growing. You also need to know how to get more organic visitors to your website. That's SEO. SEO doesn't need to be complex or expensive, but it's something you must learn how to do. Starts with your website. It carries through to your social media followers and in your email marketing. Audience growth needs to be a top priority for you. And if you're not sure how to do it, I'm happy to answer any questions you have. Let me give you some practical things here on audience growth. Your website needs to be optimized for two main things. One is getting lots of organic followers. That's where SEO comes in. And the other thing is it needs to be optimized to convert organic visitors to email subscribers. I can't tell you how many websites I go to, and the first thing I see, the big call to action button that hits me right in the face is what? Anyone? No. Usually it's shop now, buy now, shop here. It's very in your face. You know, the average website visitor spends about 11 seconds to get them to take some kind of action. And if their call to action is shop now, wait a minute, you have no relationship with them. You've built no trust and rapport. What makes you think they're going to convert at that point? They're not. Your website needs to be optimized. The conversion that you want is to join your email list because there you can build trust and rapport and over time convert them to paying customers. So if you want to grow your audience, you got to be growing your organic traffic to your website. And you want to remove all the friction you can. Here's one of these things that you can take home and fix right away. If I go to your website and it makes me fill out my birth month, the date I was born, and the year I was born, you have lost me forever as a customer. You think I'm going to bother with that? No, I'm just going to bounce. What you need is a simple, if you're going to have an age gate, you just have a simple yes or no. And there's all kind of clever ways you could do that. So if you're sitting in this room and your website, you're making people fill out the form describing their birthday, you got to fix that right away. You also need to be making leverage of pop-ups. Now, most people don't like pop-ups because pop-ups done wrong are a pain in the ass. They're really just, interruption marketing at its lowest point of expression. If you want to use pop-ups effectively, you got to do two key things. Wait 15 seconds to show it. 15 seconds is the magic number because they're only going to be on there for 10 or 11 seconds anyway. So if you wait, you're only showing it to people who are hanging around. And the other thing is only show it to new visitors. We have sophisticated software available nowadays. It knows whether that person has visited your website before. And you can configure your pop-up to only show to new visitors. So this is a wonderful way to keep pop-ups from being annoying. Pop-ups work. Pop-ups are one of the great ways to turn organic visitors to website traffic. And here's another great tip. If you are on Instagram, and you know how in Instagram you're not allowed to put a link in any of your captions or your posts, but you can put one link in your bio? If that link is going to your website, you're doing it wrong. You need to leverage a tool called Linktree. And on the app in my bio, I put my email address there. I have a really short 2-minute video about what Linktree is, why and how to use it. Send me an email and I'll make sure you get that. But Linktree, instead of using the one link you've got to send people to your website, they click on Linktree and they see a whole menu of buttons. Buttons like visit our website, join our email list, check out our latest events, read our founder's story. You could put an unlimited number of buttons there. This is a very smart way to leverage your traffic to grow your email list. Yes, question?
Is there any benefit, so we have a hidden page on our website that is a bunch of buttons, so that way it's directing them to our website, but then it can take them to other places on the website. Is there additional value to Linktree?
Well, Linktree is for people who are on Instagram, visiting your posts, visiting your profile.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So we have a link on our Instagram that says, visit us, and then it takes us to a page, takes them to a page on our website that has a bunch of
Yes. That will work. That will work too. It's just not, it's more of a pain to change them. So like when I write a new blog post and I publish a new blog post, I flip over to Linktree and I add a button at the very top. That would be a pain in the neck if I had to configure my website or get someone on my team to do that. So I just think if you're going to be on Instagram, you might as well use Linktree for your one spot. So those are just some practical things that you can do. So audience growth is absolutely critical. You need to know how to grow it, and you need to grow it continually. You need to know where your traffic's coming from. The tools are available. So this is where it's, if you want to get up and go taste cider, maybe now's a good time because this is really boring shit compared to that. But Google Analytics, you've got to understand how to use it. You got to submit to it and learn how to get that data. It's absolutely essential. Okay, here is top strategy number 2. And here's where I'm going to bump up against your ways of thinking that are kind of, for lack of a better word, stubborn, okay? We all have them. That's human nature. We tend to do stick with the things that have always worked. Scaling is misunderstood in our industry because what's the best way to sell cider? Like the single very best way to sell some cider? Yeah, sitting in front of a customer, sampling the cider. There is no better way. There's only one problem with that. Anybody want to guess what it is? You can't scale it. Now you should get as many people to your cidery as possible. You should have an engaging environment. You should have a well-trained staff. You should make friends and build relationships in your cidery. That's true. But you have to balance it with scalable strategies too. So I don't know if you spent much time thinking about things that can be scaled or not be scaled, but I'm inviting you to start thinking of that way. So things that can't be scaled. Foot traffic to your tasting room, as much as you think it can be scaled, it's anything that involves the physical presence of a human being cannot be scaled. That's a simple definition. So farmers market, trade tastings, anything that requires the physical presence of a human being, it cannot be scaled. Do those things, they're important, but balance them with scalable things. So what can be scaled? The number of organic visitors to your website is infinitely scalable. The size of your email list, infinitely scalable. Your social media, infinitely scalable. And if you really want to accelerate things, you can spend money on advertising if it's done right. And you can do something called lead generation. I would love to do a workshop on nothing but lead generation. It's how I built my own business. It's how I transform a lot of my clients' business. There is a special type of meta ad called the lead ad, and the whole purpose is to advertise to get people to join your email list. If you want to grow from where you are now, you want to add 1,000 or 2,000 well-qualified, engaged cider fans, learn how to use meta lead ads. It's a game changer. So accelerating the things that can scale with advertising is really smart. And new on the scene, there's another way to scale, and that's the use of AI. Now you might think, well, how does AI going to scale things? Well, one of the things that scales is you and your time. If you're not using ChatGPT or a similar tool, it is remarkable. And in a minute, I'm going to talk about email marketing. And when you see how often I'm suggesting you send out emails and what you put in those emails, you're going to definitely have a pause. But the way you make it easier is you use AI. If you go to, don't do this right now, please, but if some of you have laptops open, if you went to ChatGPT and you typed in something like this: I own a cidery in Western Pennsylvania. I want to go after cider fans who, just love this category. Can you give me 50 ideas? I need 50 topic ideas that I can put content on my website, create social media posts for, or create email content. 50. And when it's done with the 50 ideas, and it'll probably group them by subject matter, then you say, you know what, can I get another 50? Just like that, it fills out. You just now have 2 years worth of content. That's how you scale with AI. Subject line. There used to be these free subject line testers. I don't think you need to use them anymore if you have AI. What I like to do is write an email or what I want to communicate in the email, and I cut and paste it to ChatGPT, and I say, give me 4 or 5 killer subject lines. I want to make sure that people are opening these emails. Don't leave that up to your own brain. It's just not a good use of your time or your brain power. So AI is another way to scale. I realize that the cider business is very geographically dependent. I mean, the orchard's right there, right? And there's something beautiful and magical about that. You don't find that quite so much in other adult beverage categories, but it certainly is one of the most enticing, romantic things about the cider business. But the problem is that you are going to need to reach audiences outside of your geographical area. Go ahead and maximize and saturate your visitor traffic in your local area, but that's not going to be enough. You're going to need to reach way beyond that, and these things are all infinitely scalable. Now, before I go on, any questions about scaling?
Say a little bit more about, you said that the meta lead ads. Can you just explain a little more what that is?
Yeah, the greatest thing since sliced bread, I'm telling you. So there's a special type of ad called a lead ad. And what it does is it serves up to the user a little form that's pre-filled out. So every meta user has their name and email address. Otherwise, you can't be on the platform. So when you have a lead ad, the ad comes across somebody's feed. Like I have one running right now. A client has paid me to find small restaurant chains in California that are interested in their own private label wine. So I'm running lead ads now aimed at that audience with the right kind of messaging and targeting to get restaurant owners to respond. And they're giving me their email address saying, yeah, I want to learn more about how to have my own private label wine. So just Google meta lead ads, watch some YouTube videos at meta lead ads, and you're well on your way. The two keys to making it work is you've got to get the audience targeting right. And this is changing all the time. And I don't have time to go into this now, but I'll just say that 3 or 4 years ago, you had to do a lot of work to get Meta to find the right people you're targeting. Today, it's much easier. I completely stopped using warm audiences because they don't work as well as cold audiences now, thanks to AI. So there's some tricks to make it work. And the other thing is the messaging. You've got to get the messaging right. You have to be super, super explicit. If you want to find passionate cider fans who care about sustainability and care about the same things that you care about, you're going to have to be very explicit in the way you communicate with them in your ads. Great question. Any other? questions about scale? Yes.
Meta lead ad, LEAD.
Yeah, like generating leads. While I'm standing here in front of you today, I have leads pouring into my inbox. And when they come into my inbox, they don't know this at the time that they filled out the lead form, but they were automatically subscribed to a 4-email nurture sequence, giving them additional information on the topic that they originally expressed an interest in. So those restaurant owners in California that are interested in maybe having their own private label wine, they're going to get 4 total emails from me. I don't even have to get out of bed. So I've got leads pouring in and nurture emails going out every 3 days. I am building an audience without even getting out of bed. This is what I'm inviting you to expand your thinking about. Any other questions about scale? Yes?
That's cross-platform, so it's served on Facebook and Instagram and any other Meta properties.
That's right. So you can tell it, I just want to run this on Instagram, which for cider I would not recommend because Instagram skews younger than Facebook. Did I say that wrong? Yeah, so Facebook, you're probably not going to find a lot of people there. But what I like to do is run it on both and let the algorithm decide. And when you download your leads, you can integrate your leads automatically into your CRM system or email marketing system, but you can also download them in an Excel spreadsheet, and it will show you the source. Did they come in from Instagram or did they come in from Facebook? So powerful stuff. I hope you don't mind me getting on your case a little bit, sharing some tough love, because you don't know me from Adam. But this is a beautiful thing about being 65. I can pretty much say whatever I want. I don't really care if people like me or not. If you're in this room and you're boosting posts, you need to stop it right now. That is a scam that benefits only the Meta people. It's so easy to do, even a child can do it, and that's great for Meta, not good for you. You've got to have to take the time to learn how to do real Meta advertising. It's not that hard. If I can learn to do it, you can too. Okay, let's press on. Here's the third big key strategy. And this is going to meet some resistance right away, okay? Because most people who produce a consumer product do not put the customer first. What do they put first? The products. They want to talk about the product, how it was made, the history, the people who made it. And all of that is great. That's part of what makes the adult beverage business so wonderful. But the problem is, it's not focused where it needs to be. So if you've never read Donald Miller's book, Building a Story Brand, I highly suggest you get your hands on it. He says that building a story brand is all about making the customer the hero of the story. So what role does your brand play? It plays the role of a guide that helps the customer get what they want. And once again, you can find my email address on the app. I'll send you, if you email me and say, hey, Ben, send me some examples of websites that get this right, that are putting the customer first, where the customer is the hero, and I will send those to you. I think seeing a good example really, really helps. But, I'm sorry? No, it would just be too distracting. This isn't my laptop, and I don't have an internet connection. But send me an email, and I promise I'll send you some examples. And if not, you could just, if you're worried that I'm going to try to sell you something, let me just help you pass that. That is not how I work. I do not sell that way. So building a story brand starts with your website. When someone comes to your website, they better see themselves enjoying your cider. They better see themselves or other people like them enjoying cider at your and taking a tour or whatever. If the brand is in their face, you're just making noise like every other consumer product brand. And most people get this wrong across all categories. They get it wrong. You don't have to be among them. You need to know who your ideal customer avatar is, and then you need to know what they want. Now, this is a little challenging, but with a little practice, you can do it. You could also use AI in this too. Say, hey, I want to get more cider fans. What kind of challenges do I need to meet to attract cider fans, right? What are the things that are important to cider, people who love cider? AI will tell you that, and you can begin to change your social media and your website messaging around that. But here's a great saying for you. Tattoo this onto your brain. The sale happens in the customer's world, not in your world. That might be the best piece of advice you're going to hear from me today. It'll make you millions. The sale happens in their world, not in yours. But yet, that's not how we behave, is it? We go straight to talking about our product. We love to brag about our product from the rooftops. Every other social media post is a picture of our product. And you know, it's like if you're a new parent, you're showing everybody your kids' pictures, right? I get that. It's certainly, you know, when you create something that the universe didn't have, you create a brand, I get that you're proud of it, but you forget something. The sale happens in the customer's world, not yours, and you've got to learn how to get out of the customer's world. So this is all about your website, your social media, and your email marketing. Find out, spend time either researching or understanding who your ideal customer avatar is and what they want. And the last thing I'll say about this is you must respect the customer journey. Here's another big nugget of wisdom that will make you millions if you pay attention here. I lost my train of thought. Oh, here it is. You have to respect the customer journey. When you get home or over the weekend, Google customer journey, and you will see all kind of charts that explain how, you know, people first become aware of your brand, and then they're experiencing your brand, and they go through this process until they become a consumer, and after that, they become an advocate and tell other people. Most people do not respect that journey. Buy now, buy now, buy now, buy now. In fact, if you're running meta ads with a call to action, buy now, you are wasting your money. You have no relationship. You've got to build a relationship first, because that's how the customer's journey is universally. They don't know anything about you. You have to warm them up. You have to build rapport. And the good news is most of that can be done automatically, which I'm going to talk about. So you have to respect the customer journey. And one of the best ways to disrespect it is to expect that people are going to buy right away. It's like in the first date. You know, I've been married 37 years. I'm a second husband, but she's my first wife. It took me many, many years to convince her to marry me. What if I had asked her on the very first date to marry me? I wouldn't be married to her today. I mean, I took my time and was patiently pursuing her, courting her. Well, it's just like that with customers. You don't ask someone to marry you on the first date, and you certainly don't ask someone to buy something the very first time they see a post on social media or visit your website. It's just a bad idea all the way around. So I promised you that I would share some things with you that might challenge your thinking and like, wow, nobody's ever said these things. I hope you can see that starting to happen. Okay, I'm about to transition to traps to avoid. Any questions about this last section on buyer first? Anybody want to admit that it makes them a little uncomfortable? Or it's like a new pair of shoes? It just feels a little bit awkward? Yes, well, you know, as I said at the beginning of the thing, revenue will make you feel a lot better about it. Yes, question?
This is a kind of a user question because the unnaturalness of building warmth on a screen is still something we feel. We're like, come on. And so getting used to the idea that people actually have sincere feelings about the stuff on their screens is hard.
Yeah, that's a very good.
Especially stuff that pops out at them from little, whack job Zuckerberg. It's just like,
Yeah.
what?
You bring up a really good point, which means you've got to learn how to do that well. If you visit one of my websites, you're going to see that it's all about you, the visitor. So my clients are wineries, distilleries, breweries, cideries, meaderies, RTD, and now getting into cannabis drinks. I have clients all over the world. But when you visit my website, it's all about you, how I can help you grow your sales. And here's some free resources to get you started. I don't ask for anything. It takes sometimes 6 months to several years before somebody ends up becoming a client of mine. So to your point, there is a way to do it and do it well, but it requires kind of unlearning some of the things that we've learned. If your website is just all about look at me, meaning me being my brand, look at my brand, look at my brand, look at my brand, you're just adding to the noise. You're not really serving anyone, and it's going to come back to bite you in loss, and you're not going to reach your revenue potential. Okay, yes, in the back.
You mentioned a 4 email or 4 nurture emails over 3 days. Is there empirical science behind that number of emails and that number of days?
Yes, great deal of science, and we're going to get to that. We're coming up. My favorite part of this whole presentation is email marketing. I love email marketing. I'm really, really good at it. I built my business using it, and I help all of my clients leverage it in a way. So hold that thought. Any other questions about buyer first?
I have a quick question.
Yes.
If you have any customers that are like really varied business under one umbrella brand, and you have a consumer packaged product company, and then they're also an experiential company where they're trying to reach different audiences, do you encourage them to split that and really treat that as two different things, or do you find that it's better to keep those unified and you have a channel that's just a lot busier because you're trying to do multiple things?
That's such a great question. What is your name?
Josh.
Josh, everybody hear Josh? He's like, if you've got two brands or two, divisions of your company and you're trying to reach different customers, how should you treat that? Here's the key. If you look at the ideal customer avatar for each of those things, if they're not the same person, you've got to break them apart. I just think that's really, really smart. You've got to have, so let's say you produce, you have a cider, and then you also, have an apiary where you sell honey or whatever. There might be some crossover in the customers, but generally they're different. To really dial it into the ideal customer avatar, you have to speak to that person in a very focused way. I remember distinctly how my business was transformed, where I used to try to serve everyone. I thought, well, I'll just cast a wide enough net. Surely I will get some new clients. But it wasn't until I got laser focused on who my ideal customer is. And here's my ideal customer. A small family winery, distillery, brewery, meadery, or cidery, where the founder is new to the business and really, really needs sales and marketing help. So everything I do, from social media to my websites to all of my free content, is laser focused on that one ideal avatar. Now, do I pick up other customers along the way? Yes, but my messaging is super focused. So you got to be laser focused, and don't try to do too much with one website or one social account. Split them apart. It's your own fault for getting into two different businesses to begin with. That's the price you pay. And I've had two different businesses, so I know. It's a lot of extra work, but it's the right thing to do. Does that help? Okay, let's move on. Traps to avoid. No animals were harmed in this photo. So here's another one, okay? And if some of you get up and walk out, it won't be the first time this happened when I show this slide, okay? It's not about your products, okay? Or let me rephrase it. It's not primarily about your product. Of course it's about your product. I mean, if your product sucked, nobody would buy it. You'd be back to waiting tables. So it is about your product. But when it comes to sales and marketing and winning customers, converting customers, it's really not about the product. Remember my slide at the beginning, talking about the starting line and the table stakes? So just hang out with me for a bit while I unpack this, okay? Because without customers, you don't have a business. If it's not about the product, what is it about? It's about the customer and their experience with that product. It's really worth taking a step back to look at your sales and marketing and asking yourself, am I making this about my product, or am I making it about the customer's experience? One of the ways this really shows up is in the three-tier world. You have distributor sales reps, or maybe some of your own sales reps are out trying to call on restaurants, bars, etc. Has you ever observed them, and maybe you've trained them to do this? They sit down and pop caps and taste in front of a client that they have no rapport with. Has anyone ever seen or experienced that? This is a really, really bad idea, because it makes you look just like every other salesperson in the world. All you really care about is selling your product to that person. The idea is to create a lot of space between that first interaction and the time you try to sell them something. You'll be far more successful, and you'll sell a lot more product if you're patient and you build a relationship first. So it isn't about your product. What it's about is building a relationship with someone who could enjoy your product. And this is tricky. It's not easy. And I can only go just so deep today. They need to see themselves in the story. Remember, your role is a guide that helps the customer get what they want. Features and benefits selling, well, I could go off on this. It's one of my, it just really makes me insane. Because selling isn't about persuasion. It's not really about features and benefits. It's not about making great presentations. It's not about overcoming objections. That's not real selling. That's the kind of selling that went out of fashion in the 1950s. It's 2025. Most salespeople are kind of superfluous to the whole buying and selling thing because any buyer of any product could go on, including every consumer, can go online and do the research they want. They don't need a person sitting in front of them describing the product or even how it was made. They can look it up themselves. What salespeople need to do is act as a guide to find out what the customer wants and help them get it. So when you put it in this context, it's really not. Success in selling isn't really about your product. It's about a much larger relationship. Here's one of my favorite quotes about selling. The sale should be merely a byproduct of a much larger relationship. I'm going to rewind that because it's so powerful. The sale should be merely a byproduct of a much larger relationship. Go build that relationship and you will sell all the cider you could possibly produce. That's the truth of it. Go read Daniel Pink's book, To Sell Is Human. Or if you have salespeople on your team, most salespeople don't like to read books that are handed to them, but if they're drawing a paycheck from you, you might insist on it and quiz them later. But you should read Daniel Pink's To Sell Is Human. What motivates people is not what you think, and it's not. This is a shocker. By the way, I'm doing a seminar later today on how to hire top sales talent, how to find, hire, train, coach, and mentor top sales talent. So if you have salespeople on your team, or you're thinking about getting salespeople, you'll definitely want to come to that if you can. But this idea that you can build a relationship, and that's what you should be doing instead of focusing on the product. Features, benefits is a way of selling that went out of fashion a long time ago. Here's another great book called Buyer First. So have you ever picked up a book and said, man, I could have written that, or it looks like exactly what I would have said if I'd had the time to write a book. Buyer First was that kind of book for me. The whole book is about what happens to your sales when you put the buyer first instead of your product. This is powerful, game-changing stuff, and I can tell by the looks on some of your faces you think I'm loony. But this is it, okay? And is it even conceivable that I would sit in front of a customer and not talk about my product? Well, it really should be if you want to sell a lot. That's the great irony. All right, questions about this very uncomfortable topic, that it's not about your product. Keep making great product. Put your whole heart and soul into it. You've got to. Otherwise, you're not going to get anywhere. But that's not enough. You've got to recognize the key to selling isn't really about the product. It's not. Questions? Anybody want to argue with me? I love to argue. No? Somebody's getting applause next door. Yes.
So when you talk about, it's about the relationship and not about the product, if you're doing DTC and you're obviously, using emails to get to lots of different buyers, you obviously can't scale a relationship with each of those different buyers, or how do you do that?
That's such a great question. Actually, you can scale it if you do it right. And when we talk about email marketing, you're going to see a window into that. But one of the best things you can do, like the pop-up example that I was giving, the pop-up should be something of value to the visitor, like a cocktail guide or the complete guide to cider or Cider 101, Cider for Dummies, something that is of value to that person. Not join our email, let's get 15% off your first order. Where's the focus of that email? Are you really giving something to the customer? Sometimes we think customers are stupid, and they're not. They know that that's for your benefit. When you come to my website and you see a pop-up, like right now, if you visit winesalesstimulator.com, you'll see a pop-up. And you know what the pop-up is offering? A free seminar, a free SEO seminar. What's not to like about that? I'm not trying to sell anything. I'm giving something away. And actually, it's incredibly valuable. That 35-minute seminar is amazing. I'm giving it away for free. So it's the spirit of what you're doing, and you can do it at scale. Okay, I probably should press on, and we will have time at the end for questions. All right, so that was trap number 1. I lost my place here. Yeah, trap number 1 is not about the product. Here's trap number 2, distributors. If you don't believe me, ask Julie in the back. She knows more about this than me. It is a frustrating world out there trying to get distributors. Now, here's something I hear all the time. And I've helped more than 200 small companies in the 11 years that I've been consulting. And I hear this universally. All I needed to do is get a distributor. Great news, Ben. I just found a distributor in Texas. Hey, this is super exciting. I just landed a distributor in Florida. And my response is, so what? You think more states equals more sales? And what's worse is you think the distributor's going to sell for you? Those days are gone. So that used to be the case even as recently as 7 or 8 years ago. You could partner with the distributor, run programs with the distributor, educate the distributor, work with the distributor, and they would multiply your sales efforts. They're not doing it anymore because they can't. It's not a function of motivation or education. They can't. Why can't they? They're completely overwhelmed with the size of their portfolio. Small distributor, large distributor, medium distributor, makes no difference. The ratio of salespeople to brands is completely unworkable. They're never going to come out and tell you that. The closest they'll come to telling you that is, well, they'll say, we're not taking on any new brands right now. In fact, not only are they not taking on new brands, they're discontinuing. So whether you're talking about wine and spirits distributors or beer distributors, and here's another problem with the beer distributors, guess what's the fastest growing product category in your average beer distributor? What's that? Well, that's growing, but not as fast as this one. Wine. See, the wine people are sick of their wine and spirits distributor not selling them anything, so they think the grass is greener on the beer distributor, because beer distributors cover more doors. There's nothing like the service that a beer distributor can give. But it's getting more and more crowded. So here's the thing about distributors, okay? Think of them as logistics only. Put your product in the inventory in the warehouse, deliver it to the accounts that you and your team have sold to, and send it at the right price. If you start with that as your baseline expectation, everything above that is gravy. But if you think, because I just landed a new distributor and they have, 40 people, this is going to be great, you are smoking crack. They can't. It's not that they won't, they can't. And no amount of education or incentive is going to make a difference. Now you might say, oh, well, Ben, I spend money on distributor incentives. I pay the salespeople. Well, now you're really embarrassing yourself, because it is a racket. Any placement that's made when you pay a distributor sales rep to do it is temporary. They all have a group of accounts that they flip things in and out of each month to pocket the incentive money. I can show this to you empirically, and if we had time, I could absolutely show you what it looks like. So spending money in new distribution incentives is a big waste of time and money, because they don't stick. None of that stuff sticks. You're going to have to do it the old-fashioned way. You're going to have to earn it. And this harkens back to the audience thing. And you need direct access to the trade buyers. It's great that distributors are delivering product to the restaurants and bars that you want to be in, but you have to have your own relationship. And here's where the real power of lead generation comes in. Let me ask you, you don't have to raise your hand or answer, just think about how you would respond to this. How large is your trade-only email list? How many trade buyers, both on and off premise, are on your trade-only email list? And how often are you talking to them? If it's not hundreds, then you better get on the bandwagon, because it is possible today to attract trade buyers to you and build relationships with them. A practical case in point is, have any of you in this room ever thought, I wish more bars would carry cider? I wish for every bar that had at least 10 tap handles, at least one of those was for cider. Anyone ever had that thought cross your mind? Well, part of the reason it's not is because the buyers don't really understand. They haven't spent time on the category, studying the category like you have. They don't really understand who the cider customer is. They're not really sure what to do with cider, so they just, give the tap handle to someone else. What if you came up with a free guide aimed at trade buyers, bartenders, pub owners, that was the complete guide to cider in 20, this is not a great title, okay, but you get the idea. The complete guide to cider for bar owners and restaurant owners. And you could have a little synopsis. How many do you need? What price category? What are the most popular flavors? You're literally giving great information to a buyer. And in exchange for downloading your free guide, they're going to give you their name and email address. I just told you about the restaurant owners in California that are responding to my free guide, the complete guide to creating your own private label wine for your restaurant. I've got 40 leads sitting in my inbox. Now, to get 40 legit restaurant buyers, I probably picked up about 100, and you have to wonder, why why are these people, this woman owns a nail salon, why does she care about downloading my free guide to having a private label for a restaurant? But it just happens as part of the meta universe. But you can grow a trade-only email list if you know how to do it, and it's a real game changer. So you need direct access to both your consumers and your trade buyers. Don't depend too much on your distributors. When I was first starting my consulting business almost 11 years ago, I was having a lot of trouble finding people. You know, I was a big cheese at Constellation Brands. Everybody returned my call. When I went out on my own, crickets. And it was, you know, puzzling because I am so charming and so smart. I didn't understand why people weren't just, you know, lighting up my inbox. I wrote an article called Stop Depending So Much on Your Distributors, and from that day forward, everything changed. It was so spot on, it was really timely. People are like, you know what, this guy's onto something. I think we have been depending too much on distributors. So this is a topic that's really near and dear to my heart. Okay, here's trap number 3. I've got to speed it along. Question, yes?
We have a brick and mortar cidery and brewery. We just started in self-distribution. We just got a canning line, so we're only in like 1 place at a time now. If we wanted to start a trade-only email list and do a lead generator, like that free guide, where would you put that on our website that it makes sense? How would they find it? We're basically right now a place to go and have parties.
Yes, what a wonderful question. Well, first of all, your website needs to have a trade section if you plan to sell out into the world. Here's what should be on your trade section. Like fact sheets on the products you produce, a list of your distributors with links to those distributors, a store finder, and not a store finder where you just list all the stores you're in, a dynamic store finder where you plug in your zip code and it shows you all the bars and retail places near that person where your product can be sold. So the best place to put it is to do a pop-up on the trade section of your website. So only the people who navigate to the trade section will see that pop-up, but that's where you offer your free guide. But to really accelerate it, you should run lead ads. So you promote it on social media and you promote it on your website, but it is a game changer. And I have a couple of great case studies. Again, no obligation. Send me an email. My email's in the bio. I'll send you a couple of videos on case studies of what this looks like and how it's done well. Great question. Okay, let's talk about activity. This is another trap. This makes me fatigued in my brain too. And if you've ever directed a salesperson, or maybe as a salesperson someone directed this to you, has anyone ever said, I want you spending 80% of your time out in the market calling on accounts? Anyone ever heard that? Conventional wisdom? I need you making 8 sales calls a day, right? These are words uttered by someone who has no clue how to be successful selling. Because activity does not mean achievement. What you do is you give a salesperson a quota, and you give them an opportunity to be rewarded for hitting that quota. And if they miss that quota too many years in a row, guess what? There'll be someone else in that role. Just focus on the goal. Don't focus on activity. Show me a salesperson who's sweaty and tired and harried, and I'll show you someone who is not disciplined, does not have a disciplined use of their time. So more activity does not equal sales. More distributors don't mean more sales. More states don't mean more sales. More sales calls don't mean more sales. You know what means more sales? Sales means more sales. How do you get the sales? By a lot of the things we've already talked about. Putting the customer first. Respecting the customer journey. Adding value to the business relationship. When the sale is a byproduct of a much larger relationship, you're going to sell all the cider you could possibly want. So a few more aspects of this, okay? The 80-20 rule is real. And if you've never heard of the 80-20 rule, go Google it. Also known as the Pareto principle that says 80% of the business is done by 20% of the accounts. It's a universal principle. It's without exception, every consumer product category, every price tier, in every market around the world, the 80-20 rule is real. 20% of the roads in America carry 80% of the traffic. The 80-20 rule is real, and it's also leverageable. So you better know the exact accounts that are driving 80% of the business. You better know how to look for them, and you better hold your salespeople accountable for spending the majority of their time focused on that. Here's another nugget of wisdom worth millions to you. The key to accelerating sales is to narrow your focus. I know that sounds counterintuitive, but it's absolutely true. The key to accelerating sales, so maybe you had 20, 30% growth last year and you want to double to 60 or 80% growth this year. The key is to narrow your focus. You must be very disciplined in the use of your time. You have to restrict your activity to only the most attractive and responsive accounts. And that takes a little homework and planning, and somebody has to hold the salespeople accountable to restrict their time to that. It's a less is more approach that's infallible. It's foolproof. What you want to do is go narrow and deep. You want fewer customers, but much deeper. You want fewer customers who can do a lot of volume. Because we're in a volume-driven business. The adult beverage category is very volume-driven. If you don't sell all the product you make, you run the risk of it going bad and having to crush it and eat the inventory. So you've got to fish where the fish are. You've got to know where the volume is being done. You have to have that list of those accounts, and you need to make sure your salespeople spending most of their time on that. So don't fall into the activity trap. And this is a great segue to CRM. I could do a whole class on CRM. I love CRM. When I first started consulting, I would ask people, what CRM system are you using? And I only ever got one of two answers. One was, what CRM? And the other is, yes, we're using this system. That's changed a lot lately. But a CRM system isn't for big brother. It's not to keep an eye on your salespeople. It's the most efficient way to manage a sales team, is to restrict their activity, monitor their sales activity, provide a clear line of sight to what your salespeople are doing. In my 40-year career, I've hired, trained, and managed many, many salespeople, high-performing salespeople. So I know this to be true. The CRM system is there for their benefit. It's not about having a big brother watching what they're doing. Left to their own devices, salespeople don't always act in the best interests of the company. That's just not how they're wired. So you really have to understand this, and if you want to learn more, you can come to the sales training I'm doing. But the CRM system will help you keep your sales team focused where it's going to make the biggest difference. And, some salespeople, and now I am cut from this cloth, so I know this. Salespeople can be a very unruly bunch to lead and manage, okay? They're not, I mean, if you were to fill a room full of people, I'd rather have, no, I better not say, I could get myself into trouble. Salespeople would not be the top of my list of people that I would want to manage. So if you know that going in, there's things that you can do to make your life a little easier, and they need to be coached. So a lot of salespeople are very assertive too, They like to push back against the boss or the owner. And so what I like to say to people is, I want you to take out your paycheck, and I want you to look down the bottom right-hand corner. If that's not your name, then you need to just do things the way I expect you to do. When it's your name on the paycheck, do whatever the hell you want. I mean, sometimes you have to talk that way to salespeople. Okay, let's wrap up with some actions, then I'm going to take some more questions. Is this stuff making sense? Okay, I'm going to make you a lot of money. So here's some actions to take. First of all, you're going to have to unlearn a lot of what you learn, okay? You got to always go back to school. You can never stop learning. There's so much available information about how to do sales and marketing well. YouTube is full of it. The internet is full of it. I have more than 100 videos and 100 articles that are written just for this purpose, to help people sell more. So take advantage of my free stuff. Just know that the minute you download one of my free guides, you're automatically being subscribed to a nurture sequence. So you're going to have to unlearn what you've learned. So now we're getting to the good stuff. Prioritize email. We're coming to the end here, but this is so important. I want to really camp out on this for a minute. When I say email, what do you think of? When I say email marketing, what's the first thing that pops to your mind? Spam. What was that? Drip marketing. There's one word in particular I'm thinking of. No one has mentioned it. Newsletter. Thank you. Right? Or blasts. These are relics from the early days of email marketing, when no one knew what else to do with this new thing. I just hate newsletters. One of the most popular videos on my YouTube channel is my anti-newsletter email marketing strategy. You can just Google it or search for it on YouTube. Newsletters, what's the focus of a newsletter? Is it the customer? Is the customer the focus of a newsletter? Or is it about your company and what's going on and here's what's happening here and there? You see the problem with a newsletter? It does not put the customer first. Why do most people do newsletters? Because they don't know what else to do. And I haven't met anyone yet that likes doing them. It's a pain in the ass putting it all together, choosing the images, doing the editing. But I got news for you, nobody's reading it. Okay, if you want to send out a newsletter, send it to the people who habitually open it. Make sure your CRM system is your email marketing system is segmented so that you know who's a fan of your newsletter. But when I talk about email marketing, I'm not talking about newsletters at all. I'm not talking about blast everyone. I'm talking about three things. Personalization. If you get one of my emails, it feels like I'm writing just to you. And you know how I know this? Because of the frequency of people who write back. They write, and I want to say to myself, you were one of 4,000 people who got that email. I mean, I'm glad you feel special, but that was by design. Personalization, segmentation. If you're sending out emails to everyone on your list all the time, you are doing it wrong, okay? That's just not how it works. And the third thing is automation. So much of this could be automated. Here's why I love email marketing. It's the lowest cost, highest return of anything you could possibly do to grow your sales. It's incredibly easy to measure the success of. It's 100% owned and controlled by you. You've got to get past the newsletter mentality. You've got to learn to use modern email marketing. So let me give you unpack a few more things about this. So not newsletters, not blasts. Email marketing done right is one-to-one communication at scale. Where did she go? She left. She asked me this question, and I was coming to it, but now she's gone. She was asking about how do you do this at scale? How do you speak to people digitally at scale? Well, email is the best way. You need to segment your list. You need to personalize your list. You need to think deeply about who it is you're writing to and what is it that they want. And we'll go into this a little more. One-to-one communication at scale. So here's how nurture sequences work. I think the guy who asked about nurture sequences is still here in the back. A nurture sequence is 100% focused on the customer. So my two favorite uses of nurture sequences are, one, new subscribers. So somebody organically visits your website, they sign up for your email list, either organically or they downloaded something. You need a welcome series. You need a special nurture series welcoming new people. The first email in the series should be in fact, all of these should be no scrolling, one image max, mostly text, and even all text is fine. No scrolling. Get newsletters out of your mind. Each of these 4 emails nurture sequence should be very, very short and 100% focused on the customer except for the last one. There's a great book by Gary Vaynerchuk called Jab, 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 Right Hook. And what this is a cadence. Every 3 times you communicate with someone, it's all about them and for their benefit. The 4th time you communicate, you're putting some kind of offer in front of them. This is a lot more digestible. And the proper cadence for email marketing is once a week. What's the number one reason people unsubscribe from email? It's crap and it's annoying. What's the number 2 reason? They don't hear from you enough. So if you're in this room and all you're doing is sending out one monthly newsletter, you've got to get on board the weekly broadcast. Short, informative. You want to educate, inform, inspire with these short emails. You want to train people to look forward to your email. Where's the young lady who has the Fjall Raven backpack? Oh, yes. So I subscribe to their newsletter. I'm a fan. Can you hold up your bag? This is the coolest outdoor equipment product called Fjall Raven from Sweden. But I love getting their emails. I'm an outdoors person. I love their products. I look forward to getting their emails. I love Trader Joe's emails. If you're not getting Trader Joe's, you should subscribe to these just so you can see what email marketing done right looks like. Now, I'm a Brooks Brothers fan. You wouldn't know by looking at me, but back in my corporate life, I wore all Brooks Brothers clothes. I'm still getting their email list, and every single one of them is trying to sell me something, every last one of them. And you know why I don't unsubscribe? Because I need that reminder. I need reminder of what email done bad looks like. So I keep annoying the hell out of myself so I'll never forget. But if you look, you can train people to look forward to getting your emails. And if you're struggling about what to write about, go to ChatGPT and say, I'm struggling of what to say in my weekly emails to my Cider fans. Can you give me 50 ideas, 50 topic ideas? And it'll give it to you right there. And you can even have them write the email for you if you want. Now, creating content for your website for SEO purposes should not be the realm of AI, but having AI write your email, your weekly emails, is a no-brainer. It's just a great way to do it. So back to the nurture sequence, is that welcome sequence. Email number 1 is just a simple welcome. We're so glad you're here. We promise not to send you too many emails. If you have a second, we'd love it if you follow us on social media. Something really light call to action. The second email maybe is a little bit about your story, how we got started, why we exist, what we value, just one little paragraph or 2. The third series of email might be something about the products that you produce. And that's okay as long as it's focused on them, right? You're not so much talking about features and benefits, you're talking about the story behind the products. Why did we decide to create this particular cider? What was the inspiration behind this particular cider? People love to learn. They love to be educated. And the fourth one, that's where you could send an offer. After that, they go into your regular weekly broadcast strategy, which is highly segmented depending on how this goes. Here's how I segment my email list. Now, my customers are wineries, distilleries, breweries, meaderies, cideries, RTD, and cannabis drinks. I have my list segmented by those, so I got my winery owners in this segment, my distillery owners in this segment, but I further segment those. In my winery, there's so many more wineries than there are other things, so you have to be really organized. I have my winery customer avatar into 3 different segments. New winery owners that have been at it for less than 5 years, veteran winery owners that have been doing it for generations, or at least 20 or 30 years, and then people in the middle, what I just call the middle owner. When I go to write an email and I want to speak to brand new winery owners, I would be an idiot to speak that way to someone who's had the winery in their family for generations, right? That would just be a huge miss on my part. So I don't do that. I write one email for the new winery owners on a topic that's going to be interesting to them. I write another email to my veteran winery owners on things that are of interest to them. So this is how you segment your list. There's many more segments. You can never have too many segments. So that's what nurture sequences are like. Now, the other type of nurture sequence is if somebody downloads a free guide or a lead magnet, you can set up a nurture sequence to fire off automatically. One of the most popular downloads for my website is a free course. I have a free course called the Modern Sales Playbook for Wine and Spirits. It's the biggest generator of new leads for me. It generates several leads a week, and it has done so for years. Close to 1,000 people have downloaded that and given me their email address. But they don't know it, but when they go watch that free webinar, they're going to get a series of emails. And back to your question, there's 3 days apart. Do they have to be 3 days apart? No, but through trial and error and lots of study, I have figured that 3 days is just about right. 4 is not enough, and more than, closer to, less than 3 days is a little too frequent. So I like the 3-day thing. But I always do 4. Why 4? Jab, 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 right hook. Every one of my nurture sequences is set up automatically, and they all go with that same cadence. It's a powerful, powerful. I'm making money while I'm standing here. Okay? This is the beauty of scalable stuff. Okay, so weekly emails, short, informative, educational, no scrolling, 1 image max. It's even better if you don't have images. If you want a best-in-class example of this, go to Galway Rock Winery in upstate New York and subscribe to their email list. By the way, are you subscribed to all the other cideries in your area? You need to be, so you can figure out what they're doing, right or wrong. Yes, question?
I have a question on that. So basically what you're doing is basically the lead ads for the public on your website offering a free course that's like a sample of what your services are, which is the equivalent of us doing a demo in store showing like a few of the products. What would be your so it's a service, what would be an equivalent of like offering as we are, like offering a product to CPG, like
Yeah.
an example that like you can run by?
Yeah, that's a great question. Did everyone hear? What's your name?
Roman.
Roman. Anyone hear Roman's question? He needs some insight on how do you replicate the giving something of value, right? That's what it's about. And I would take issue with this store demo comparison. That is 100% focused on the seller, not the buyer. It's a different kind of strategy than lead magnet. So the lead magnet has to be so compelling and so valuable they cannot resist downloading it. They absolutely can't resist. They've got to get their hands on it. So that's what a good lead magnet will do. It's got to give tremendous value. When they download it and surrender their email address, they need to say, wow, I can't believe that was free. I can't believe they're giving that away. This is the spirit of lead magnets. It's got to be very high value. It can't be self-promoting in any way. So like one of my clients right now is putting together, she and her family are from Jamaica. They live in the UK, and they're importing wines from Argentina and Spain. They're working on a recipe guide of family recipes handed down from generations of Caribbean cuisine. It's beautiful photography of their own stuff. The recipes are amazing. That's cocktail guides, educational things. Those work really, really well for lead magnets. I just realized I'm running out of time. Oh yeah, Galway Rock. Sign up for,
That's in Ireland, Galway, G-A-L-W.
yes, but Rock, Galway Rock. Yes, Galway Rock. Sign up for their email list and watch the magic happens. No images, short emails, almost always something educational or informative. Little things like how long can I keep a bottle of wine open, or what temperature should I serve rosé? Just an endless stream of interesting tidbits about the topic. It's one of my favorite examples of this. Okay, so let's leave email marketing. There's lots more that could be said about this. I hope that was eye-opening. You don't have to raise your hand, but I hope that you're looking at email in a whole new way. This could be one of those things you could start doing better on Monday morning and watch your audience grow and watch your sales grow. You want more people to, hold on one second. You want more people to your tasting room? You want more people to join your subscription clubs? You want to sell more product online? Then you've got to do it with email. That's where those things take place. Get them on your email list, build trust and rapport. From there, you can sell them just about anything. Yes, question? Well, I'm a HubSpot guy because I have my website, my CRM, my email marketing, my social media, and my advertising all in one platform. Very, very expensive. I don't recommend that. We recommend MailChimp to our clients, but I'm also a big fan of Klaviyo. Klaviyo has got it going on. And I guess I'm kind of married to MailChimp, and I'm so intimately familiar with it. That's what I tend to recommend because I can serve my clients better. I know that tool so well. I don't know Klaviyo so well. But if I was starting from scratch, I would take a really hard look at Klaviyo. But these are not easy tools to learn to use, so somebody's going to have to put in the time to master them. Okay, so this is the second action you could take. Never stop asking the question, how can I scale this? If it can't be scaled, go ahead and do it if it's making you money, but just recognize you're going to have to balance it with something else. Okay, I literally have 1 minute left. But we took questions as we went along. Did anybody have a question that did not get answered? Yes.
Where you're finding success with emails are pretty much text and notification, that's for a certain demographic or age, or that seems to respond to that better than others.
Yeah, great.
Our point, we started with kind of texting some stuff, and we got much more engagement. We were like hitting Instagram more often with like a picture that had text in it.
Yes, a great question. So he's asking about the use of images in email marketing and social media. Do not confuse email marketing with Instagram, and don't even confuse Facebook with Instagram. Okay, if you're posting the same content to Facebook and Instagram, go look up why you shouldn't be doing that. We don't have time to get into it, but email marketing works best when there's no scrolling. Pictures or not is not the key. The key is no scrolling. When people see a big, large block of text, what do? They bounce. They're not. Who has time? People don't like to see big blocks of text. So if you're going to have some text, no scrolling and break it up with some headings. Sometimes the use of images can break it up. So use images if you want to, but it's hard to use more than one image and not make people scroll. And again, if you're stuck in the newsletter mentality, and maybe you just love your newsletter, and maybe you want to stick with it, that's fine. But I would just create a segment in my email software and only send it to the people who are engaged. If you're not getting an 80% open rate in your newsletter, you're doing it wrong. You're sending it to people who don't care about it. So you've got to get past that, okay? Sending out a monthly newsletter is for your benefit, not your customers. And knowing what you now know, that the customer has to be first or you won't sell all the cider you make, now you can go take your new enlightened state and make the changes you need to. Okay, I think we have time for, and I will be happy to stay to answer any questions, but I don't think there's another, what's the next session? Oh, lunch. Lunch is next. Oh, we don't want to stop between you and lunch. So if you have to go, go. I'm going to stand here and answer more questions. Yes?
Is there a way to get through the Gmail filters, because it tends to go to promo and,
Yeah. Did you present today in the main room?
yeah.
Yeah, great job, by the way. Very inspiring. I'm a bird guy, too. Yeah, so this is a question, and it's getting trickier all the time. Remember Apple's big fight with Google over the privacy, and that's just all getting worse. So a couple of things that you could do to make sure that because what you're talking about is deliverability. She asked, how do we improve our deliverability of emails so they don't get stuck in spam folders? The number one thing is have high open rates across your system, because it really does help. Personalization helps. Don't leverage your subject line. You definitely want to make your emails as appealing as possible. Because when MailChimp or Klaviyo or the other service providers see that you've got 70, 80% open rates, or even 50 or 60, they realize that you're treating your email subscribers in a very special way. And they will help you with your deliverability. It's not really widely publicized, but you can do yourself a favor by sharpening your email marketing skills, because it helps with the deliverability. There's a certain amount of it that's just going to be tough. And one nice thing to do in the bottom of all your emails, the bottom of your business card or whatever, ask people to add you to the address list. That really helps too. If they add to the address, it's a simple ask. Okay, yes, question.
At this point, we're basically an event company that happens to make beverages. So we're having a hard time figuring out how to segment the email list, because in my mind, telling them how they can experience the event we're doing is for the whole list. So like when you're starting to look at your giant list and segment it, but you want everyone to get all the information, but not everyone's clicking on it, how do you start?
Yeah, so here's a great tip for you, okay? Two tips in one. You need to learn the difference between segments and tags. Now, some software, MailChimp calls them tags, others call it something else, but tags are things that people pick up on the way into your system. So if somebody downloads my free online course, Modern Playbook for Wine and Spirits, they're going to pick up a tag. And so they're automatically being segmented by that tag. Segments, though, are more about how people are interacting with the emails that you send out. So this is one of the downsides about sending a monthly newsletter. You don't have enough interaction data to segment properly. So what I would do is I would run or create segments based on certain criteria, like how often have they opened emails, did they open an email, how many times did they open an email when this was the topic. Segments are, and now with AI, it's so much more sophisticated, but you can create great segments based on how people are interacting with your email. Use tags for how they came into your system, and use segments for how they interact. You can also use tags for click segmentation. So if somebody clicks on a link, you can automatically assign them a tag. So use this combination of segments and tags to slowly zero in and begin. Because at first, when you first do it, it seems like an impossible task. I've got 3,000 people on my email list. How do I even begin? It really would help to run some of the segmentation analytics in your software. That would help. And for those of you that are using the email marketing that's part of your POS system, who's our sponsor? Is there a sponsor here? Yeah, this is not a knock against any point-of-sale providers, but almost all point-of-sale providers have some kind of email marketing component. Okay, I'm using air quotes. That is not real email marketing. It can't possibly do what a tool like MailChimp or Klaviyo can do. So if you're using GoDaddy to serve emails to people, you are not optimized at all. Okay. Other questions? Yes, in the back.
Asking about that, the question you just said, like, what if our POS is like Toast?
Yeah.
Do you recommend or not recommend that as part of our,
Yeah, so great. Yeah, and there are so many great POS systems out there. And Toast is really more of a reservation system, and maybe they're getting into point of sale too. But, yes. So most of the better tools will have an integration with your email software. So Toast, go to Toast's website, search for integrations to see which email service providers they integrate with. So MailChimp has a wide array of integrations, which I love. So you can integrate your point of sale so that when somebody buys something in the tasting room and their email automatically becomes part of that database, it will also be shared with your MailChimp. So integration of your POS with your primary tool is the best way to go. Yes, sir.
Can you speak to, how to ask this? So, is this a segment of business activity you think is well suited for outside consulting? So you're talking about something that requires a lot of specialized knowledge and understanding. I just wondered if you ever use consulting to maybe train up a team that's not here and try to hand off some of this knowledge and train them up? If the leader of the organization doesn't really know and understand the stuff you're talking about.
You mean inside your organization, or you're talking about my organization?
No, I just mean inside, depending on what your scale is, you may not be able to employ someone that has this level of skill
Yeah.
and ability.
So-
Is that a good way to bring that into your business?
Yeah, I love this. I love this question. You know, everything you mentioned today, Ben, seems to have a very steep learning curve. Who has time? Who are we going to get on the team to learn all this stuff? I have news for you. Okay, it's 2025. You want to sell all the cider you make, you better learn this stuff. You better find someone in your team to do it. This is not optional. It's not optional. You're going to have to submit to the learning curve. If a gray-haired old guy like me can do it, you can do it. Okay, I think they're trying to break us up, but I'll take one last question. And anyone else has a burning question, you can email me or rush to the stage.
This might be silly, but when you say personalization, you mean literal personalization, first name, last name, hey, Chris.
Yeah, not just the name. Like, including first name is part of it, but it's not the most powerful part. The most powerful part is you write to that person with their interest in mind. Just like when I write an email to my new winery owners, I'm talking about problems that new winery owners have. My veteran wineries do not have those problems. They have a whole different set of problems, like employee issues and growing. How do I grow my sales team? So the most important part about personalization, not just sticking their first name in, but writing to them where they think they read it. I'm like, is this person reading my mail? I mean, how do they know me so well? That's the ultimate expression of personalization. Okay, I think we better get to lunch. Thank you all for visiting with me.